Tiananmen. While the foreign press was closely watched and highly restricted, we were again one of the first camera teams to be permitted to film around China during one of the most important years of its history after the massacre, referred to euphemistically by our Chinese hosts as the turmoil. The Tiananmen incident posed the question to the world, where is China heading? In 1971, our Chinese hosts were very proud to introduce us to the People's Militia and encouraged us to film their maneuvers in the city of Wuhan. The People's Militia comprised Chinese of all ages, workers, peasants and their families, and youths who could not join the military corps. They were the armed fist of the working class, trained in the defense of their homeland and to destroy both internal and foreign enemies. Down with American imperialism is written on the practice targets of the riflery. A rifle competition between peasant families was part of the maneuvers we filmed. A member of the winning team was sharpshooter 6-year-old Zhu Lifan, shooting with a regular army rifle. Today, Zhu Lifan is a 24-year-old accountant working in a wristwatch factory. She is married and lives in the city of Shenzhen.
当时啊，拍这张照片的时候啊，是我们和另外2家是对抗赛的实弹射击啊。当时啊
It's me in this picture. I remember very well when the snapshot was made 18 years ago. I shot very well that day. We were competing with another team. When the picture was taken, I was less than 7 years old and in the first grade of primary school, so I was the youngest in the competition. I competed more than 30 times in similar events.
我是最小的一个了。后来啊，这种类似的比赛一共好像有30几次，记得。到这是1971年拍的吧？1976。
After graduation, I worked in a cotton mill, then married and moved with my husband here.
毕业后啊，就参加工作了，在一家棉纺厂当工人。
In comparison with 18 years ago, I think that life is much better now.
不是多少倍了，就是我认为这里生活得很好。
During the Cultural Revolution, Mao's regime used dance, theater, art, crafts, and other forms of cultural entertainment to expound its ideology. In Nanking, we filmed The Little Red Soldiers, a troupe of performing children highly trained in propaganda. "18 years later, we found some of these Little Red Soldiers.
My name is Ma Li, and in 1971, I was a member of the performing group Little Red Soldiers. I performed very often, and this started my love for music. I developed my musical skills, and today I am an assistant professor at Nanjing Conservatory.
考取了南京艺术学院，现在也在南京艺术学院任教。谢谢。
Shanghai, then as today, is the largest city in China. Its streets and boulevards were crowded with bicycles and pedestrians, but very few motor vehicles, some buses and a few government trucks. Under Mao's regime, the automobile was declared a symbol of Western decadence. Today, the car is no longer a capitalist vice. Cars can now be seen in quantity. These are mostly foreign imports from Japan and other countries, but some are manufactured in China under foreign license. The proliferation of cars has brought with it the worldwide problem of overcrowded streets, traffic jams, and pollution. The old reliable bicycle is still the primary mode of transportation for the vast majority of Chinese. Imagine the problem if just every other bicycle in this parking lot were an automobile. The outskirts of many Chinese cities, like Shanghai, resemble old China, dilapidated and overcrowded. One of China's most serious problems is its shortage of housing in urban areas. Even married couples are often forced to remain in their families' homes after the wedding. From the amount of laundry drying in the streets, it seems that at least 3 generations of a family live under one roof. A few years ago, modern construction, fueled by the needs arising from privatization and international trade, was commenced by domestic firms and foreign consortiums. In anticipation of a continued expansion of foreign business and tourism, building construction boomed. Disenchantment by foreign construction financiers after Tiananmen caused the stopping or slowdown in such construction projects. There was no such thing as leisure time during the Cultural Revolution. All Chinese engaged in world revolution were required to spend all their time working. And if by chance they did have some free time, it was to be spent studying the Little Red Book. Vacations or leisure were reactionary activities which were abolished. Since openness, this attitude toward leisure time has changed and vacations are permitted. West Lake at Hangzhou has become one of the many places where tourism flourishes and romance blossoms. A disquieting reminder that all is not what it appears is the Tiananmen victory sign flashed to our crew. It was not possible for us to film in this temple in 1971, as all religious sanctuaries were closed. Today, religious observances are tolerated.
We people from Zhenjiang are Buddhists. Every day, many people come to this temple because we believe in Buddha and we hope he will protect us. We also pray at our homes. We have been very religious for generations in my family.
Missionaries brought Catholicism to China in the Middle Ages. This Beijing cathedral was constructed on the foundation of a former church, which was destroyed at the turn of this century when the Chinese attempted to rid the country of Westerners in a war called the Boxer Rebellion. It is estimated that there are 4,000 practicing Chinese Catholics in the city of Beijing. One Sunday morning, we filmed Mass. Islam is practiced by ethnic minority peoples, mainly from northwestern China, at the end of the ancient Silk Road. In Beijing, there are 200,000 Muslims who trace their ancestry back to a nationality known as the Hui. This impressive mosque serves this community. The only religion allowed to be practiced was the Christian, with its central god, Mao. Learning to write some of the 50,000 Chinese characters starts in the first grade. Students memorize strokes today as they did thousands of years ago. Indoctrination to the ideology of the Cultural Revolution started in the primary schools and was paramount to basic education. Teachers played an important role in this training, and non-compliance meant being sent for re-education. These same teachers, when we filmed them in 1989, voiced their startling revelations of the education system under Mao.
During the Cultural Revolution, the teaching in the primary school was disturbed, and it was not a normal situation. The main slogan of the Cultural Revolution was, "Learning in the school has no value." And the main way to instruct pupils was by Mao's quotations and posters and newspapers plastered on the walls. This generation of pupils was not educated systematically, and their level after primary school was very low. Later, when they started to work, they discovered they lacked some knowledge, and this generation began to learn again at a later age. The Cultural Revolution interfered with the school system. We were forced to bring pupils into the factories and people's communes and teach them to learn Mao's quotes. In every field and profession, these generations are worse than any other. For example, in this period, the teachers' college was closed, and the work of the teachers was left to secondary school students. The resultant teaching was very poor.
是这一代人啊，到现在来讲呢，在各行各业都体现出来了。
7年那个时候，在我们学校已经没有什么艺术教育了。这个艺术教育呢，完全被政治所。
In 1971, we were not teaching art education. We had to teach political instruction. The children were writing revolutionary slogans in calligraphy. They also had to write texts of revolutionary criticism of certain people. All this had no connection with art. In the field of painting, children were sacrificed to politics. We know that artistic education is very important to the development of children's minds. So without such an education, the children of this generation were handicapped.
就无形当中就好像是一个残废的不健全的人。
Art education has again been added to the school curriculum. These art classes resemble those held all over the world. Children are still taught the greatness of Chinese culture and Chinese socialism. But instead of being warned that they are surrounded by enemies, they are told that in order to exist peacefully, they must communicate with other children of the world. Thus, they start learning foreign languages at the earliest age. In this primary school class in Nanjing, children greeted us in English. In 1971, we also filmed an English class a la Mao in a middle school in Shanghai. We could not communicate with the pupils because they had been taught only Mao's slogans and quotations and not taught to express their own thoughts and feelings.
I'm for the slogan, fear like hardship, nowadays. Commander Jing Xinhua said, I will work with might and mean as long as I live, and I will dedicate my life to Chairman Mao.
Now, in the same school, 19 years later,
my Chinese name is Xiao Chen, and my English name is Erica.
My Chinese name is Zhang Zhongyi, and my English name is Michael.
My Chinese name is Yan Zhihua, and my English name is Maria. Shanghai is a beautiful city. Though it doesn't have a very long history, but it is developing very quickly, and it has become one of the largest cities in China. I was very interested in studying foreign languages when I was very young, very little. I studied when I was 11 years old or so.
We must communicate with all peoples around the world. English is an international language.
Yes, largely American music is also European music is different to Chinese. They are more passionate, yes, and we can listen to it from our local radio station.
Do you dance every once in a while?
Oh no, I haven't experienced it.
today there is no difficulty in obtaining dance experience. Western-style discos, ballrooms, and dance clubs are springing up all over China.
With my friend and my classmate.
I love American rock music.
Having been denied the right to dance for over 20 years, the Chinese today favor the dances of the 40s and 50s. During the Cultural Revolution, to dance the waltz, foxtrot, tango, or cha-cha would have been a crime, which subjected an individual to the wrath of the Red Guards and other revolutionaries. Today, dance halls provide meeting places for the young and an atmosphere conducive for falling in love.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Yes, I got a boyfriend. He's a chef in the friendship store in the Hangzhou.
Can I ask you something directly? Why are young Chinese people, boys and girls, shy or embarrassed to talk about love? Are you shy?
The first time. Yeah, when we first to meet each other, because this is the first time, so a little bit shy. The second and the third time, maybe it's okay.
When did you kiss with him the first time?
Maybe, I think it's 3 years. 3 years ago.
Did you tell your mother about that?
No, never.
Why?
Maybe the Chinese parents not not open for this.
You think they wouldn't agree with you being physically intimate with your boyfriend?
Right.
Did your mother talk with you about it? Did she tell you anything about sex?
No.
No.
Yeah.
What about school?
Schools, no. Not talk about the lover, the sex, no. The Chinese could not do that.
A successful courtship ends in a visit to the marriage office. To be entitled to marry in China, fiancés must be employed and have the written permission of their supervisors. If these requirements are met, the prescribed forms are filed with the marriage clerk and a couple is married. This old couple was just remarried because during the Cultural Revolution, the wife was obliged to divorce her husband who had escaped to Hong Kong. All around the country, there are billboards depicting the Chinese family, happy parents and their one child. Proclamations advise that a low birth rate is essential for the good of the country. If a couple signs a declaration at the Family Planning Center that they will have only one child, the family will be entitled to a yearly subsidy, free admission to daycare centers and kindergartens, free health care and other benefits. These are lost if the couple decides to have a second child. The preoccupation with a low birth rate is understandable, as population remains one of China's most serious problems. When we first visited in 1971, the population was 900 million. It is now a staggering 1,200,000,000, or more than a quarter of the total Earth's population. Notwithstanding this problem, the state provides for the well-being of its children, who are loved, educated, and disciplined. There have been few changes in the labor-intensive methods used for centuries. Mechanization is not even considered. It would force peasants into the cities, where there are no jobs or housing for them. An enormous change in the peasant's life has been the abolition of the people's communes and the introduction of agricultural reforms known as the responsibility system. This allows the peasants to profit more directly from their labors. Selling produce to the free markets has made many peasants wealthy. The landscape of the typical farm village has not changed, but today many of the peasants' homes are well furnished with creature comforts, even foreign imports. The housewife in this wealthy village can now prepare traditional dishes which require long hours, but are worth it.